Is it a good idea to pair the RX 7900 XTX with an ultra-wide 1440p monitor to play the latest games in the second half of 2024? Let's find out. To test it out, I'm using the Asus TUF Gaming RX 7900 XTX paired with the i7-14700KF as part of the pre-built CyberPower PC powered by MSI. And the monitor I'm using is MSI 341CQP OLED with 175Hz panel, true blacks, amazing contrast, and you don't have to worry about burn-in because this monitor features OLED Care 2.0 feature that reduces that risk. This is hands down my favorite ultra-wide 1440p monitor, and if you are interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them at the links in the description below. There is no need to spend that much money on Windows 11 Pro when you can get it for much cheaper at cdkeyoffer.com. Additionally, use discount code iVadim to get 25% off and bring the total price down to $22. Furthermore, you can find Windows 10 Pro as well as Microsoft Office at much cheaper prices as well. Get yours now at the link in the description below, and don't forget to use discount code iVadim to get 25% off. Unfortunately, Space Marines 2 does not support ultra-wide monitors just yet. They said that there will be an update that brings that support later this month. That's why we'll start our testing with Black Myth Wukong. We are at native resolution using TSR, ray tracing is on very high, graphics preset is on very high as well. And unfortunately, AMD graphics cards, even the highest end graphics card, the RX 7900 XTX, does not support ray tracing in this game. You're gonna get 5 FPS. Yeah, full ray tracing is a complete no-go for the RX 7900 XTX, and that makes me wonder, why the hell is AMD asking $900+ for this thing? Let's disable ray tracing and set the graphics preset to cinematic, which is the maximum. I'm not going to use FSR in this game because it looks absolutely horrible. It introduces a host of visual problems, including ghosting, as well as horrible pixelation on fur and grass, as well as foliage. You can watch my previous video if you want more details on that. But in this video, I will not dwell on it. Let's just say that FSR sucks. That's another feature that doesn't work on AMD graphics card in this new, highly popular game. Yeah, that's another con for the RX 7900 XTX if you're comparing it to an NVIDIA graphics card. But let's move on and have a look how it plays at native resolution using cinematic graphics preset. And it's not looking too hot right now. Close to 40 FPS. Yeah, 46, 47. Near the water, 40+ as well. Of course, we want as many frames as possible, so let's try and get at least 60+ consistently. Let's try very high graphics preset. By the way, don't look at that VRAM metric over there, look at the one in the bottom right corner, because that appears to be broken. AMD software right here reports 9.8, 9.9 gigabytes usage. It's almost double of what you see up there. It says 20 gigabytes, that is absolute nonsense, that is not the case. I know it for sure because I've tested this game using other graphics cards. Even on very high graphics preset, we are still not getting that 60+ FPS. Take a look at that. We're getting close to 50, but dips below 50 are constant. Not great. Not great at all. Oh, 46 FPS over here. Yeah. We have to make another adjustment to graphics. Let's set it to high preset. And only now we are starting to see good performance. 70+ right now. That tells me that it will stay above 60 pretty much all the time. Yeah, 69 over here. Very nice. It is fine. We found it. If you want to play this game on the RX 7900 XTX, then you have to use high graphics preset. That is quite unfortunate because if you are using a comparable NVIDIA graphics card, you can use DLSS to boost performance. DLSS looks good in this game, as it does in pretty much every other game as well. That's what grinds my gear every time I test another AMD graphics card these days. It's just that FSR is not that good. Adoption rate is very slow. Very few games feature the latest version of FSR. And even when they do, it doesn't always result in great experience because there's far more visual issues with FSR compared to DLSS. Even though we're not using FSR, we can still use AMD's frame generation because they've decoupled it from their resolution upscaling. So we can use TSR in combination with frame generation. And let's keep graphics on high because we want that high base FPS so that there's no additional latency. Because in this kind of game you want your controls to be as responsive as possible. And take a look at this fluidity. Yes, well above 100 FPS, sometimes reaching to 120 and above. This is nice. However, I must once again stress that we are currently using high graphics preset. You can certainly enjoy this game using the RX 7900 XTX graphics card, but is it the best experience? Could you have a better experience using another graphics card, by NVIDIA for example? Absolutely. Ghost of Tsushima is a much easier game to run. So let's check out the graphics settings that I'm using. It's very high with maxed out texture filtering as well as maxed out field of view. I'm currently not using any upscaling or frame generation, but we'll take a look at that a bit later. Fortunately, we don't need those FPS boosting features in this title because we are already getting quite a high number of frames. Take a look at that beautiful performance, 100 plus FPS. Absolutely beautiful, very nice. And because we have so many frames on this 175 Hz OLED display, it looks beautiful even when I pan the camera. Motion clarity is absolutely amazing on this monitor. It's one of the reasons I love OLED displays so much for gaming, is that they don't produce any ghosting. Fortunately, FSR resolution upscaling is working quite well in this game, although I must say that it wasn't the case from the start. When this game just released, we were still on FSR 3.0, which was terrible, in my opinion, for this game, because it had a lot of visual issues with foliage. When you're riding through the forest, it would look absolutely horrible. I did not want to use FSR back then, but now, a few months have passed and they fixed it, updated FSR to 3.1, and now it works well. Let's enable AMD's frame generation to take a look at how many frames we can get. Well above 120. 175, 169. Yeah, image fluidity looks absolutely beautiful, although we are getting more frame spikes, which is not nice. I prefer playing this game with frame generation disabled. And not that we need it anyway. Let's turn it off and enable resolution upscaling instead. Let's set FSR to quality. And as you can see, even without frame generation, we can get a lot of real frames that feel better. Yeah, those frame spikes are not as noticeable now. This is a much better experience than with frame generation enabled. And FSR quality actually looks okay on this monitor. Yeah, I can see myself enjoying this game with these settings, no issues. But since we already had 100 plus FPS at native resolution, I think I would stick with that. Once Human is another Unreal Engine 5 game that looks decent, however, it is a far cry in terms of visuals compared to something like Wukong or Hellblade II. We're using native resolution, AMD FSR as our anti-aliasing solution, and everything else is maxed out. And the performance is great. 150 FPS, beautiful. Oh, that's a scarecrow. Stay back. In places with dense vegetation, FPS drops to around 130 plus, but that is still plenty to satisfy a high refresh rate monitor. Near the water, FPS drops closer to 120, sometimes below that. Oh, there we go, 118 FPS just then for a little bit. 115. Oh, that's just frame spikes. Yeah, because this is an Unreal Engine 5 game, you're still gonna experience some of those traversal stutters. Oh, what is that? Corrupt crocodile. Let's get rid of that thing. No, stay back. I don't want you anywhere near me. Oh, the way it jumped. Ragdolls in this game are beautiful. Sometimes they do things that make me laugh. And here's the problem I have with this game, is that reflections look absolutely horrible. I really hope that they will improve that in future patches. Introduce some ray tracing features maybe. That would be nice. I know not everyone is going to use those, but it's better to have them and use them if you have the graphics card for it. If you want higher FPS, then you can use resolution upscaling, FSR. Let's try that on quality mode. And where we previously experienced 120 FPS-ish, we are now experiencing close to 150 FPS. Unfortunately, I didn't play this game for long enough to get a proper taste of FSR, but at the moment, it looks okay. I can't spot anything that raises concerns. Next up is Hellblade II, one of my favorite single-player games of this year. I will not be using FSR in this game, I'll be using TSR, because once again, there are problems with FSR. Even after all the updates, it still looks bad in certain scenarios, immersion breaking, so I'm not using it. We are at native resolution, using the highest graphics quality preset, high. So far so good. 60 plus FPS. However, we have not entered the forest area where the FPS drops by a lot. Oh, and we are already observing 58 FPS, so performance dropped to 56, 58. Oh my god. This does not look good. This does not look promising. Although in other scenes, we're getting above 60 FPS. This game looks absolutely beautiful on an ultra-wide monitor. Highly recommended. Let's enter the forest. Oh my, will it drop to 40? Oh, 39. This is not good, is it? This game uses software-based ray tracing. It doesn't utilize hardware, as Wukong did. That's why Wukong is so broken on AMD GPUs. This one should be fine, but It is very demanding, so I guess we have to adjust the settings. Let's select medium graphics quality. And on medium we are getting really close to 60 FPS. I'm okay with that. 57, 58, it's fine. This is the worst case scenario, which means that in other scenes we'll get well above 60 FPS, sometimes even above 70. So this is a good experience, and honestly, medium preset doesn't look very different to high preset. However, you have to keep in mind that we are using a $900 GPU. I can't say that I'm happy with the experience I'm getting. If you want to struggle through various visual issues introduced by FSR, you can select FSR Quality Upscaling and keep that graphics preset maxed out on high. That will deliver 80 FPS experience in simple scenes. And let's have a look at the performance in the worst case scenario. 61, 62. Yeah, there we go. That's your 60 plus FPS experience. Consistent. Oh, 59. I spoke too soon. 58. 57. Ah. So it's not completely consistent, but it's okay. Although, as I said, I wouldn't play this game like this just because FSR introduces a host of visual issues. I just don't want to deal with that. It breaks my immersion. In a game like this, immersion is everything to me. I would rather pick lower graphics quality and stable image that makes this world believable to me, rather than selecting FSR upscaling and dealing with all kinds of issues like characters getting pixelated and transparent. Yeah, that is a thing. Or poor quality on those branches over there. Just take a look at those. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, that does not look good. That is sizzling. I'm not sure if my camera is picking it up. But yeah, all the small details in the branches are lost. Let's compare that to TSR native resolution. Although it's not perfect, but those branches look much better now. There's less sizzling, and I can see those branches better. And that is the reason why I would choose to play this game at native resolution using TSR and medium graphics quality preset, because you can still have a good time and won't have to deal with those FSR upscaling issues. Although, once again, that begs the question, why buy this AMD graphics card in the first place when you can get an NVIDIA graphics card and use DLSS, which works very well in this game? In conclusion, I did not enjoy using the RX 7900 XTX paired with the Ultrawide 1440p monitor. Ray tracing performance in the latest games is horrible, FSR resolution upscaling quality is quite bad, unless you're playing a few select games that actually have FSR 3.1 and it's implemented well, which is extremely rare as of September 2024 when I'm recording this video. And at native resolution it fails to deliver great experience. For example, in Black Myth Wukong we had to use high graphics preset, in Hellblade 2 we had to use medium graphics preset to enjoy the game. Yeah, that's just not a great experience in my opinion. Certainly not at $900. As a result, the RX 7900 XTX does not get my recommendation to play the latest games in 2024 using an ultra-wide 1440p monitor. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you are interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can get them on Amazon at the links in the description below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to reward it with a like, and subscribe for more if you haven't already. It was I, Vadim. Until next time.